Welcome to the first installment of the Cycling Roadmap Weekly Show. My name is Sheridan, and today we're going to discuss the upcoming Santos Tour Down Under. First, though, I want to talk about the format of the show in the future. We'll usually do it in three parts. We will have race reviews from the previous week. We'll talk about tactics and results. Then we'll talk about the UCI points review. Historically, that has been a very difficult thing to find. Um, the UCI points are very important on a 3-year cycle. It determines the promotion and relegation of pro teams to the World Tour and vice versa. So we will have a weekly update on that. Teams moving up and down the order. We'll keep an eye on all of that. And then we will discuss we'll have a preview of the races coming up in the weeks ahead. So we'll do, just like we'll do today, we'll have stage previews. We'll have, riders to look at for results. So everything coming up for the week ahead. So yeah, that will be the future format of the show. Today is the first week of racing for the season. We don't have UCI points. We don't have races to review. So today we're just going to discuss the Santos Tour Down Under. Like I said, we'll do a full stage preview. We'll look at sprint favorites, GC favorites, etc. So let's take a look at the prologue. So the prologue is in downtown Adelaide. We have 3.6 kilometers. It is pan flat. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 corners. It's not that technical. But there are a couple tricky parts. Especially that 75-degree angle. It'll be a left turn at the bottom of your screen there in the center. So you'll take after about 1.5 kilometers, there is a time check. So we'll have an intermediate time check right in the middle, and then we'll have then the finish at 3.5 kilometers. We're probably looking at 3 minutes 50 seconds, maybe 4 minutes, and then who do we think is going to potentially get the result? So anytime I think of prologues, I naturally go to Mikel Zeilard of Tudor Pro Cycling. He's always someone that comes to mind. Really, any lead out rider is going to be a pretty good bet on these types of parkour. Pan flat, sort of medium, middle of the road technicality, and just a pure powerhouse. From the Ineos Grenadiers, Sam Watson. He won the Roman D Prologue last year. He also came second in the Deutschland Tour Prologue. So, definitely has the power profile for that type of effort. And maybe someone from UNOX Mobility. And they have some pretty strong options. So maybe someone from them. They're usually bigger bodied, high horsepower. So keep an eye out for that. And the stakes, the first ochre jersey of the Santos Tour Down Under, first leader's jersey, first win on race day number 1. So there'll be lots of competition and riders very excited to get the first day underway. So after day 1 comes stage 1 and the race in Tanunda. It's a circuit race, 120 kilometers, 1,100 meters of climbing, and 3 times up Mangler Hill, which is 2 kilometers long at around 3%. I think it's probably going to be a sprint finish. It was a sprint finish last year. And if you remember, Uh, Danny Van Poppel earned the first ever yellow card on this finish last year. It's an expected sprint finish. We have, yeah, like I said, it's a circuit race. Pull up the profile. So we've got, like I said, 3 times up Mingler's Hill. We go through the finish line on 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 occasions. The 4th time will be the finish. The profile looks a bit harder on paper than I think it actually will be. Yeah, we go through towns like Lyndoch and Vine Vale, and then obviously up Mangler Hill and finish in Tanunda. So, like I said, expected sprint finish. We'll probably see, depending on the time gaps, we might have a new leader. Um, I don't know if the sprinters will have a full 10 seconds. Well, if they'll be a full 10 seconds down on any potential winner. So we might see the same leader's jersey going into stage 2. Stage 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under, we have the road race from Norwood to Uredla, 148 kilometers, 2,800 meters of climbing, 2 times up the corkscrew. Now the corkscrew is 3.6 kilometers at almost 7%. So yeah, pretty serious climb. First real test of the cycling season for the guys who are interested in the GC. And I'm expecting a reduced GC group finish. Now last year, again, we had the same race. This is where Javier Romo he sort of chipped off the front over the top of corkscrew. The rest of the GC group, I think it was around 10 or 12 riders, kind of looked around. They looked at each other. Nobody wanted to chase, and he was off. Quick descent to the bottom into Uredla, and yeah, stage win for Javier Romo. I'm kind of expecting something similar this year. Again, difficult climb. It's going to be hot. The guys coming out of Northern Europe, used to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, jumping all the way up to 90 degrees, up over 30 degrees Celsius. Yeah, if you're not acclimated, that can be a bit of a challenge, especially so early in the season. So I'm expecting a reduced GC group, maybe a sprint among the favorites, and likely a new race leader. I would suggest. Stage 3 of the Santos Tour Down Under, we have the road race from Henley Beach to Nairn, I believe is how it's pronounced. Short day, 141 kilometers, 1,900 meters of climbing. Yeah, it's going to be a hard day for the pure sprinters. I think some will survive. I don't think, we did not have this finish. We did not have this finish last year. So let me just take a quick look at the profile. Yeah, we've got, yeah, it's pretty lumpy. Um, we have two King of the Mountain points. The first is a 3-kilometer climb up Wickham Hill. It is 7%, but that comes in, I think, the first 20, 25 kilometers of the race. And then it's pretty rolling after that. We have an uncategorized climb, which is just over 2 kilometers at 5.5%. A sprint point, and then the last KOM is up Mount Barker, 1 kilometer long at just over 4%. They will pass to the finish line. I think, yeah, a little over 6 kilometers after the summit of Mount Barker, and then they'll come around for one finishing lap of around 20 kilometers. Does not seem, I haven't checked the map, but it doesn't seem like they do Mount Barker on that final approach. So the sprinters might be able to get over, yeah, the rest of the terrain to contend for the victory. Day 5, stage 4 of the Santos Tour Down Under, the day that everyone's been waiting for, Brighton to Wollonga Hill. 176 kilometers, 2,000 meters of climbing, and 3 times up the famous Wollonga Hill. 3.5 kilometers at 7%, and this will be the main GC day. Like I said, 3 times up Wollonga Hill. The first, the first 40 kilometers are fairly difficult. I believe they've done this similar route last year, if I remember correctly. We have, a climb almost straight out of the gate after 12 kilometers up Chandler's Hill, which is 2.7 kilometers long at just over 6%. A bit of a false flat rolling downhill into McLaren Vale and the start of Wollonga Hill for the first time. The summit is reached just over 50 kilometers from the finish. There is then a sort of a longer stretch. They do a few laps around Aldinga Beach, through McLaren Vale out to Aldinga Beach and back. And then after 150 kilometers, so around 25 kilometers to go, they'll hit McLaren Vale for the penultimate time. And actually be the last time for an ascent up Wollonga Hill. Quick descent off the top. The final descent is 15 kilometers from the finish, and then right back into the base of the climb for the finale. Last year, again, Javier Romo tried to get ahead of the race and attacked really early from the bottom. Some of the other GC guys were looking around, but in the end, he was caught and passed. Jonathan Narvaez of UAE XRG came over the top, sprinted for the win. He took the stage win in the overall GC. With how we'll take a look at the GC favorites in a minute, but I think with how tightly packed everyone is, I would expect a very similar outcome. I don't think Wollonga Hill is really going to be that decisive. It will be decisive, but I don't think it's going to be hard enough to have guys coming in, 15 seconds down on the leader. There will be a time gap with the bonus of probably around 15, 17 seconds. But I think the time on the line, it won't be more than, it likely won't be more than 10 seconds. So, tactics, knowing when to go. Richie Porte was, the king of Wollonga Hill. He knew exactly when to go to time his effort. So I think we'll see a very similar, like I said, a very similar outcome to this year's race. The final stage of the Santos Tour Down Under is a circuit race around Stirling. This race, this stage is no joke. It's 170 kilometers, 3,000 meters of climbing, and 8 times around the 21-kilometer circuit. On each lap, there's a 2-kilometer long climb at 3.7% up to the finish. It's going to be ripe for an aggressive race. We have, let me take a look again at the profile. So I think, it's constantly up and down. Either the sort of false flat climb up to Stirling, or the false flat descent down into into the basin and then back around. If teams want to be aggressive, there's plenty of opportunity to do so. It's going to be a hard race to control. And if the GC is tight, like I fully expect it to be, the guys up at the front in the top 5 positions are really going to need to rely on their team to keep to either try to blow the race apart and move their GC guy into an advanced position up the road, or to haul those moves back. I think there's plenty of opportunity, like I said, to make a move, and this might be the most exciting day of the whole race. We have the GC is going to be, pretty firm. Everyone will kind of know where they're at, but like I said, it's going to be tight and plenty of opportunity to move. All right, so we've taken a look at all the stages. Let's take a look at who's riding. This is the sprint field that we have. So this is in no particular order. We have Juan Sebastian Milano of UAE XRG, Sam Welsford of Ineos. There are a lot of guys in here that are fast, but I wouldn't say that we don't have the A tier sprinters. No Tim Merlier, no Jasper Philipsen, no Jonathan Milan. So I think we've got some strong guys who are going to make the sprints very interesting. I am quite interested to see how Luke Lamperti comes into his first race with EF Education Easy Post after his transfer from Soudal Quickstep. Young guy Tim Torn Teutenberg from Lidl Trek. He raced really well last year in the handful of races, sort of bigger races that he did. Very quick, just has to be patient, but he's got a strong lead out with Andrea Baggioli. Corbin Strong, I don't think he's going to be mixing it up with the pure sprinters, but maybe on some of the harder days where it's a questionable finish, I definitely throw his name up in there. Danny Van Poppel, I think he'll be leading the charge for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Sam Welsford's transfer over to Ineos sort of leaves Danny with an open role, so I think he'll definitely be up there in the podium fight. Then we have guys like Alberto Dianese, Casper Van Uden, Erlen Blickra, Aaron Gate, and then Mikael Zeilard. Yeah, those are fast guys. Sort of Grand Tour sprint finishes, maybe like fifth, third to sixth. You kind of would see them. I know Casper Van Uden got his stage win last year at the Giro, but very consistent, sort of like podium place finishers. And then we have the wild card of Matthew Brennan of Visma Lease Bike. Very, very quick. He beat Jonathan Milan in a head-to-head sprint last year, I think in the Deutschland Tour, if my memory serves me correctly. Then we also, so he's very quick in those head-to-head, flat finishes, but he will certainly be a force when it comes to the lumpier days. Probably maybe even the final day potentially if it stays together. I think he could be a potential winner for the race in Sterling. Stage 3 to Nairn potentially. Uradla, I mean, he could tip off 2 or 3 of these days. So it depends on how quick he comes into the season. But yeah, if he's on the type of form that he was last year, it would not surprise me if he picks off 2 stages. Then another guy to take a look out for is Jensen Plowright of Alpecin Premier Tech. In the Oz Nats a couple weeks ago, he did beat Sam Welsford in the crit. Take that for what you will, a bit of a grain of salt, but in terms of a form guide, we don't have a lot, but from a head-to-head between Plowright and Welsford, it is +1 to Plowright. So definitely one to take a look out there as well. And it might be a good time now just to take a look at the teams. So we have quite a bit of change amongst the team names, and we'll certainly see different colors. So just about every team has have a slightly rebranded / color scheme change from last year. There are some exceptions. EF looks pretty similar. Movistar changed from a blue motif to a white motif. Soudal Quickstep, there's a touch of green. Visma Lease Bike, XTS Astana, Tudor, X, they're all almost identical. But there are, like I said, some name changes. So NSN Cycling, that is a new name. That is the former Israel Premier Tech. They went through their rebranding phase over the winter and have a new sponsor of NSN. So they're NSN Cycling. Premier Tech jumped ship. They went over to Alpecin. So De Koenig exited the scene. So Premier Tech jumped into as the secondary sponsor for Alpecin. Some of the other changes, notable changes, are Decathlon. So AG2R exited after, I think, almost 3 decades, over 3 decades in the sport. So now Decathlon has shipping giant CMA CGM as a title sponsor, or as a secondary sponsor, and a huge influx of cash. So we'll keep an eye on them certainly throughout the year. Yeah, who else do we have? Obviously, the merger between Lotto and Intermarché, and yeah, quite striking kit from Red Bull Borhansko. I really like their kit. So we'll keep an eye. We have to get used to the new kit. Lots of changes, but yeah, very exciting. And then also we should just wrap up with the Australian national team. They're always animators in the race. And they have a great mix of experience and youth. So for the experienced guys, we've got Damian Howson and Chris Harper, two stalwarts of the pro peloton. Newly crowned Oz national champ Patrick Eddy. He is in I believe, a continental team. He didn't get re-signed with Picnic Post NL, but he didn't do himself any harm by winning that national championship a couple weeks ago. And we've got a lot of young guys, super strong. Liam Walsh, definitely look for Oliver Bledden. He was right up there in the time trial and was very active in the road race. And then some of the really young guys who I don't really know anything about, but I'm sure will be in the breakaways, Matthew Greenwood and Lucas Stevenson. So that sort of rounds out our preview of the Santos Tour Down Under. I think, yeah, it's always really exciting to get racing back on our TV, on our screens. We'll be taking notes, keeping keeping you all updated. If you want to if you want to keep up to date day by day, head over to thecyclingroadmap.com. Go over to the Australian continent and start clicking around, and we'll have stage notes, summaries, all posted over there. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next week.